It's hard to find a job right now, especially for new college graduates. But as if that's not tough enough, if you don't pay your student loans, you are going to see your wages garnished. In fact, millions of student loan borrowers right now could be facing a wage garnishment of up to 15% of their wages by the US government starting by the end of the summer. About 2 million borrowers are at immediate risk of wage garnishment, with an additional 1 to 2 million expected to default in the coming months. So you could see 3 to 4 million people having their wages garnished by the end of the year for not paying their student loans. Now, I have never supported student loan forgiveness. I think that's a bad idea. But at the same time, I do feel bad for people that really tried hard, went to school, and tried to get a good job, and now just because of no fault of their own, they're graduating and they can't find the job that they're looking for because the economy sucks. I don't know how you're supposed to pay your student loan if you can't find a job. But then again, if you don't have a job, there will be no wages to be garnished. So this really only applies to people who actually do have an income and are refusing to pay. In that situation, I don't feel bad for you. You should have your wages garnished. And these wage garnishments can be pretty substantial, guys. They can take up to 15% of after-tax income. So imagine already maybe 20 or 25% of your income is going towards taxes. Well, they can take an additional 15%, which means 40% of your pay is now going towards taxes and the wage garnishment. We'll see when this actually happens. You know, we just passed Labor Day, which kind of traditionally marks the end of summer, even though summer doesn't officially end until September 22nd, I believe. But something else to note, you're not going to be facing wage garnishment unless you are at least 270 days behind. That's how far behind you need to be in order to actually be in default. So if you're just a couple of months behind on your student loan payments, you're not going to see wage garnishments. It's only for the chronically defaulted, essentially. Only after you're delinquent for 90 days or more, that delinquency is reported to the credit bureaus. And right now, there's about 5.8 million borrowers more than 90 days delinquent. Almost 6 million people, guys. That's 31% of all student loan borrowers, to put that into perspective, who are behind at least 90 days. That's pretty far behind. And that also lines up with what I've been talking about on this channel about how people just can't make it right now because the cost of living has gone up too high. Now, your college degree is worthless if you're not making enough money to pay for it, or any money for that matter. So basically how this is going to work is if you are going to have your wages garnished, you are entitled to receive a 30-day notice before the garnishment begins, but many people misunderstand those communications. So if a student loan borrower is in default, the education department can direct the employer to withhold up to 15% of a delinquent borrower's disposable pay until the loan is paid off or is no longer in default status. And by law, the government must at least leave you with 30 times the federal minimum wage per week, which would only be $217.50. So that's the minimum that they have to give you per week. So they can't take it all. But really, if you receive a collection notice, it is critical to respond immediately. And if getting your wages garnished would create a major hardship, then you should consider requesting a hearing, which is something that you might be entitled to as well. So you can avoid having your wages garnished, but it is going to require you setting up some form of payment. You're going to have to negotiate a payment plan with the Department of Education. You can also try something like debt consolidation or rehabilitation, but rehabilitation is only allowed one time. But really the best option is to just never have this happen to begin with. If you have an outstanding student loan balance and you haven't been paying, knowing that you actually can pay, just start paying it. Wouldn't you rather pay the amount that you can actually pay rather than have the government garnish your wages and take however much they feel like taking? And the reality is, the more you don't pay, or when you pay under the minimum amount due, then you're going to continue seeing the balance creep up because of compounding interest. So you're really just shooting yourself in the foot by not paying. This whole pipe dream of getting student loan forgiveness is over, guys.